Will Pucovski, Brighton Grammar School, 2015. Current sport is cricket. Most significant achievement from a personal point of view would be making my test debut against India earlier this year, I would say. And then on top of that, also winning the Sheffield Shield with Victoria a couple of seasons ago. My favourite school sport memory is when I was captain in the first at Brighton Grammar, making all my best mates field in the slips, even though they couldn't really catch and didn't want to, just because I wanted to talk to them for the entire day. So, yeah, I loved school cricket probably more than any cricket I've ever played, just because you got to play with your best mates. We had some pretty good rivalries with Xavier and Melbourne Grammar. I remember that. They probably had us covered over the time I was at school. I think in terms of individual opponents, I would say Big Willie Sutherland from Scotch would be the toughest one. He really gave it to us when I was sort of in my last year, and he was a young guy coming up, which was pretty good of him being a couple of years younger. So I thought that was pretty impressive. Most influential coach and teacher was definitely Gary McPhee by a long way. He was the first 11 cricket coach when I was at school, and we had a great relationship and still stay in touch to this day. So he was an absolute ripper, Gary. That's a very good question, Neil. I would say the biggest lesson I learned playing school sport is to really appreciate and enjoy what you're doing, because I think playing with your mates for your school, where you're there 5 days of the week, six if you include Saturday sport, it's a pretty special time in your life. So just to enjoy that and maximize it as much as you can, and take that enjoyment into what I do today. Some leaders that have influenced me, I would say early on, I had a few. So I was pretty young when I first started playing school sport, as I started when I was 12, I think, in the first. So I remember Josh Drummond was great. He was captain of Brighton Grammar at the time, or the cricket team, and he was awesome. And the whole year 12 group and the older guys in general really looked after me. I still remember in my first year getting bounced by a big angry guy from Geelong College, and Lockie Hopwood, who's another ripper that was a couple of years older than me, standing up to him and sledging him as we were walking off the ground for lunch. So that's one of my fondest memories, and I'll always thank him for that. I've got rid of all my superstitions, Neil. I used to be quite superstitious and then realised they just wasted mental energy. So I've sacked them all off and just sort of try to go with the flow a lot more now, and just stick to my processes. And that's the most important thing I can do. That's a very good question again, Neil. It's hard to narrow it down. I would have to say one of my best mates, Max Murray. He was a very nuggety opening batsman who used to try and get the shine off the new ball for me, which was great. Didn't have many shots, but just did the job. And then bowled what we thought was off spin, but because he couldn't turn it properly, it sort of ended up hitting the shiny side and going the other way a bit. So he sort of bowled doozers the whole time. So got me a couple of stumpings when I was keeping to him as well. And for those that don't know Max, he's one of the cheekiest blokes going around, but he's quite quiet. So he sort of does it behind closed doors, just does it in the shadows, but he's just was an all-round ripping teammate and a ripping bloke. One piece of advice, Neil, would be to, I would say, make sure you get the balance right between school, study, fun, mateship. Because I remember when I was sort of in year 7, 8, 9, there was a lot of sort of talk about, oh, well, it could hinder my cricket playing school cricket instead of playing club cricket on the weekends. But that was all absolute rubbish, to be honest. And playing school cricket and being around my mates all the time, being able to go to school properly, do all my subjects properly, was the best thing that ever happened to me. And obviously it's probably a bit harder in other sports, but in cricket and footy and soccer and all sort of those core sports, I think it's definitely doable and doesn't hinder you at all. So make sure you just get that balance right from a young age.